Today, we are going to be talking about judging people favorably. That is obviously one of the ideals and values of the Torah. Let's figure out where does that come from? Why should I? As a matter of fact, why should I even just judge people? Like, forget judge people favorably. Just don't judge people. Why you got to judge people? Who are you to judge people, right? So don't instead of telling us judge people favorably, just don't judge people. Furthermore, if you're going to judge people, probably there are times where it's very healthy to judge people not favorably, right? And is the Torah saying just be a sucker, right? Sort of believe, someone's got a bridge to sell you. Oh, it sounds weird, but I'm going to judge them favorably. How much does it cost? What's the Brooklyn Bridge going for today? Okay? So I want to open with a story. There was a young man whose father had made quite a fortune in the real estate business. And when he came of age, this young boy, he decided he's going to try to make money. He doesn't want to be living in his father's shadow his whole life. So he goes out and he gets involved in this venture and that one and a startup, entrepreneur. On his business card it just says his name, entrepreneur, right? And maybe even it says serial entrepreneur, even a greater line, right? So he's an entrepreneur and he's getting involved in all these ventures, but they're all losing money. And his father, by the way, he may be the serial entrepreneur, but his father is the serial money man who's giving the money for all these ventures that he's starting, and he's involved with social media and all these things. It's not working out. So finally his dad says, listen, son, you've been a serial entrepreneur. You tried 5 different ventures. I gave you the money. I helped support you. None of them worked out. They've all gone bust. It's now time for you to come back and work for me and learn the business of real estate, because God willing, one day that'll be the business that I will leave you. And I want you to know it from the ground up. So you're going to start off at the lowest level, and you're going to work through every department, and you're going to learn how to work, and you're going to come to work on time or early, like I do. I've been here every day at 7:30 for the last 40 years. You're going to come in on time or early. You're going to work the full day. You're going to learn this business from the ground up so that one day you will be serially successful. So the kid is not happy about it. But the reality is, we have the golden rule. You guys know the golden rule? He who has the gold makes the rules. Exactly. So, sure enough, he starts coming to work with his dad every day. And it's a little bit stifling for him. He had all these grand plans of being a serial entrepreneur. He was going to make... You guys know what unicorns are? Not the mythical animal. Unicorns in the tech world are startup companies that become valued at $1 billion or more. So when you think of unicorns, you think of like Dropbox or Square or Foursquare, all these different companies that ended up, Slack. There's actually now a thing called decahorns. So the word dec represents 10, right? Like a decade is 10. So if your company ends up getting valued at 10 billion or more, then you're a decahorn. That was like Airbnb and Uber and WeWork. So he had all these great dreams. He was going to have a whole field of unicorns and decahorns, and now he's sitting in his dad's office working out on the little details, being in contact with the management companies. We got a complaint from Mrs. Rosenbaum. The walk wasn't shoveled properly. The trash wasn't taken out. This is what he's dealing with. Okay. Anyway, and he still tries to bring his father all kinds of deals. One day, the father's secretary comes into the office. Now, anybody who's really made it, anybody who's really wealthy, sort of has this lady who is the absolute gatekeeper, protector of the man, right? And, Warren Buffett's famous. He talks about his secretary and how much she makes and how she pays a higher rate of taxes than him. So everybody who's made it's got this lady. And of course, this real estate guy is mogul. He's got his lady who takes care of him. She's been loyal. She's been working with the company for 35 years. She knows his schedule. She knows who to let in, who to let out. And one day she walks into her boss's office and she says, "Boss, I gotta talk to you." "What's going on?" "Well, I was walking down the hallway, and I see your son talking to some guy. I don't know who he is. And they were talking about some kind of deal. and your son said, I'm disgusted with my father, we're not doing the deal. And the father blows up. He's disgusted with me? Me who watched him, who raised him from a child? Me who funded him through 5 failures? Me who's trying to teach him a legitimate business? He calls him in and he starts reaming him. You nitwit, you idiot! I raised you from the time you were a baby. You were barely coherent and you're still barely coherent. And I've been supporting you in all your endeavors. And you're trying to bring me these cockamamie deals, real estate deals in Puerto Rico and Costa Rica. You're going to make millions on timeshares. Are you absurd? You're disgusted with me? I'm disgusted with you. Get out of my office. And the kid says, Dad, what are you talking about? Father says, you think I don't know? My secretary heard you in the hallway. You were talking to that guy that you brought to me, you wanted to do some kind of crazy deal with, and you said to him, I'm disgusted with my father, we're not doing the deal. I said, Dad, that's not what I said. I said, I've discussed it with my father, we're not doing the deal. Sometimes we don't judge people favorably, and we really, really should. And we can make an absolutely terrible mistake. On the other hand, sometimes you judge people favorably, and it's a disaster that ruins your future. Is anybody here familiar with Willie Horton? Who's Willie Horton?
Center fielder on the Tigers.
Inner fielder on the Tigers. Who else is Willie Horton?
There's 2 Willie Hortons.
What's the other one?
He was the guy that in Massachusetts.
That's exactly
He
right.
was a criminal and he won the election.
There we go. Willie Horton was a criminal. Willie Horton was a terrible man. When he was in the state of Massachusetts, he came upon he came into a gas station to rob it. He then stabbed the gas station attendant dozens of times and left him in the garbage behind the gas station. He was caught, he was apprehended, and he was put in prison with a life sentence. Now, at the time, there was a man named Dukakis, Michael Dukakis, and he was the governor of Massachusetts, and they had a program called the Weekend Furlough Program, which was prisons about rehabilitating people. We want to make them better. We just don't want to put them away. So we should let them out and let them be part of society a little bit at a time, just for a weekend here or a weekend there, and hopefully that will rehabilitate them. And under this practice, they let Willie Horton out of prison for a weekend. And guess what? Willie Horton didn't come back to prison. Is that surprising?
No.
Here they judged him favorably, right? Listen, people can change, we gotta have faith in humanity, and we should really give them a benefit of the doubt. Let's let them be like people, they're not animals, we don't put them in cages. Of course, you shouldn't put animals in cages either. If the PETA guys are outside, I'm sorry. Okay? And Willie Horton didn't come back. Where did Willie Horton go? He went to Maryland. What did Willie Horton do in Maryland? Well, he came upon a boyfriend and girlfriend, and he did horrific things. First, he beat the boyfriend nearly to death, and then did horrific things to the girlfriend, and then fled. Now, he was caught by the Maryland police this time, and the Maryland governor said, we will never, ever send him back to Massachusetts, where he's actually legally supposed to go, because he had a prior sentence there. Said he will be in prison in Maryland for the rest of his life, and he's not getting out on weekend furlough programs. Now, why this became such a prominent story and why people here know this story is because when Michael Dukakis was running against George W.H. Bush in 1988, I remember I was in school at the time. In our current events class, we had to put together this massive portfolio about the election, and Michael Dukakis was clean as a whistle. They were looking for dirt to sling at him, and they couldn't find stuff. And Michael Dukakis was winning the race. And George W.H. Bush hired somebody, I forgot what his name was, I don't remember, and he said, you gotta find something to sink this man. And they had a whole team trying to find, what can we pin on Michael Dukakis, right? His wife never wore a fur coat, you know what I'm saying? He never shook hands with the wrong people. He never said something horrific like, college-age students should be smart enough to know how to dress themselves. You guys know what I'm talking about? In Yale campus, what's going on right now? Read up about it. It's horrifying, absolutely horrifying. Anyway, it's like the medieval times. They're pillorying. They're like literally destroying a professor and his wife's, they're both professors, lives because she basically sent an email out that you guys are adults, you should know how to dress yourself, and the college doesn't need to send you out emails and letters telling you how to dress on Halloween. And whoa, whatever, it's a different story for a different time. But in any case, and they're literally being like, people are protesting outside their dorms, saying they should be kicked out, they should be fired. Here, a couple that's their whole life been dedicated to this university. Anyway, they find Michael Dukakis, the team that's looking to bury Michael Dukakis finds Willie Horton. And that was it. Willie Horton was what sank Michael Dukakis' presidential bid. Think about how different the world might have been had Michael Dukakis been president from 1988 to 1992. Who knows? Who knows? All kinds of things. I mean, the whole Bush dynasty may have not happened, right? Now, it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't there in 1998, and then his son probably wouldn't have won in 2000, 2004. And whether you like the Bush dynasty or you don't like the Bush dynasty, the bottom line is at the end of the day, because Michael Dukakis was in favor of a plan that basically judged people favorably, his entire future, and indeed the entire history of our nation was changed. So, when do we judge people favorably? When do we not judge people favorably? Why do we have to judge at all? What's going on over here? Alrighty. Let's look at some of the sources. I'd like you to look at your source sheets. Source number one. What is the source in the Torah of judging people favorably? So source number one is a verse in Leviticus 19:15, Vayikra 19:15. The verse says, Lo tasu avel b'mishpat, do not commit a distortion of justice. Lo sisa pnei dav, lo sehadar pnei gadol, do not favor the poor nor honor the powerful. If you're a judge, don't say, look, this poor guy, the defendant is a wealthy guy, he's got all the money in the world, and the plaintiff is just a poor guy, he's got nothing. If I rule in favor of the poor guy, I give him $1,000, $2,000 will change his life, the rich guy is not even going to notice the money was gone. So let me just give it to him. Nor should you honor the powerful. Say, oh look, this guy is so powerful, so wealthy, I'll rule in his favor, and then after I'll tell him, just give the guy the money. I didn't want to embarrass you, so I ruled in your favor, but give the guy the money and he'll do it. No, don't do that either. Then with fairness you must judge your fellow man, says the Torah. B'tzedek tishpot amisecha. With fairness, judge your fellow man. Does it say anything here about favorable judgment yet? No. It says with fairness, judge your fellow man. Okay, so that's the verse in the Torah. What do the rabbis make of this verse? So there's a bunch of different things that people learn out of this verse. Source number 2 is the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Shavuot 30a. Our rabbis taught, with fairness, judge your fellow man. One party should not stand in court while the other one sits. One party should not be entitled to speak all he wants while the other is told to curtail his words. This is setting up, according to the first explanation we see for those words in the Torah, it says, with fairness, judge your fellow man. It seems to be a directive telling you how to run a courtroom. Treat people fairly. One guy's standing and one guy's sitting. The guy who's being forced to stand the whole time feels like uncomfortable. Like, why am I I'm standing in the corner? Like, what's going on? Like, did I do something wrong? Why am I being treated this way? And then when it comes his time to speak, he's not going to speak properly. He's going to feel at a disadvantage. And when you feel you're at a disadvantage, you are at a disadvantage, right? The way you feel, they say, if you think you're going to win, and if you think you're going to lose, you're right. Right? Whether you think you're going to win or whether you think you're going to lose, you're right. The way you feel about yourself is how you present yourself, is how you end up being. So, actually a fascinating corollary of this. This crowd here is mostly female. So of course we know that women don't get paid equal pay for equal work. And I read a huge article in the Atlantic magazine. There was two women, I forgot, two of their main correspondents, like spent months and months trying to understand this. And their answer was that women don't have enough confidence. Like, men are stupidly overconfident. We all think that we're like the greatest thing, right? We could be at work and performing like below par, but we think that we're like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and we'll come in and demand more money or whatever it is. And women are much more sort of almost like, timid. They can work much harder and do a better job and yet still feel, well, it wasn't so good, it wasn't so perfect. That's the whole thing with Sheryl Sandberg, lean in. Anyway, so the way you feel about yourself, the way you present yourself is the way you're going to end up getting treated. But if you tell one guy to stand and one guy to sit, the guy who's being forced to stand the whole time is going to feel at odds. He's not going to present well. He's going to lose the court case. Furthermore, don't give one person the opportunity to say whatever he wants, and the other one, he starts talking like, yeah, I know what you're going to say, I know what you're going to say. This, by the way, is the last part is a very important rule for interpersonal relationships. If you're having an argument with your friend, with a loved one, and they give you all the time to speak, you say, I've got to talk to you about something. Sure, what do you want? And you start talking. I'm really bothered by this thing that you did, and you start going into it, and they're sitting there, they're waiting patiently for you to finish. And then, you finish your point, and then they start saying their point. And you're like, yeah, I know what you're... No, that's not true. Wait, hold on a second. That's not the way it's done. That shows absolutely no respect. In our family, we have Sunday night meetings. Sunday night meetings are family Burnham meetings. Burnham family meetings, I'm sorry. We actually bought a gavel with like a wooden base, and on the gavel is like a metal band, and engraved on the metal band on the gavel is the commencer and adjourner of all Burnham family meetings. And whoever remembers at Sunday night dinner first that we're supposed to have a meeting says, we have to have a Burnham family meeting, and then they get to be the commencer and the adjourner. So they take out the gavel, and they put it down on the table, and they get to say, Burnham family meeting commenced. And it starts, and then we go through the rules of the house, what's working, what's not working, what should change. And then we vote on things. Of course, my wife and I have veto power to a certain degree, actually to a very strong degree. And at the end of the meeting, we go, Burnham, that same person goes, Burnham, family meeting adjourned, and it's over, right? So, when we have these meetings, we actually pass around the gavel, and whoever has the gavel talks, and no one else can talk. Right? Whoever's holding the gavel gets to talk, and everyone has to listen. Because when you don't have it like that, when one person is being told, I know what you're saying, I know, that's not, just wait a second, what does that mean, I know what you're saying? As a matter of fact, let's go back to that Yale story. If you don't know what I'm talking about on Yale campus, basically, so many colleges around America send out a whole letter before Halloween telling these students how to dress appropriately and what could be offensive. I don't know if you know today, the world has gone like absurd. I don't know if you know this. Okay, that you know. You're like, thanks, Rabbi, but we knew that a while ago. I've been saying it for a decade already. So Janet Napolitano, former Secretary of Homeland Security, is now the chancellor of all of UC schools, all of the University of California. It's a huge school system. It's UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego. There's so many. It's a huge school system. And she has given out a whole list of words, phrases that you're not allowed to say because they're microaggressions. So here are some of them. America is the land of opportunity. You can't say that anymore. What do you mean, why? It's so aggressive. It's so aggressive. You racist. How dare you say America is the land of opportunity? You know what else you know how to say? America is a melting pot. God forbid we should believe that America is a country that takes in people from all over the world and brings them together in harmony. Oh, no, now it's going to be a salad bowl. But you can't say salad bowl either because some people don't like salad. And that's a microaggression against people who don't like salad. There are so many people out there who have irritable bowel syndrome, and when they eat roughage, it makes their stomachs explode. Do not use the word salad in the University of California school system. It's absurd. We're living in absurd times.
She really did that?
She really said that. You're not allowed to say America is a melting pot, and you're not allowed to say America is the land of opportunity. These are microaggressions. There's a whole list. Google Janet Napolitano microaggressions. It's unreal. So, for example, on Halloween, right, on a college campus, you're not allowed to wear, if you're a white person, you're not allowed to wear a sombrero. Because you're appropriating someone else's identity. Because you're stealing the Mexican's identity. And how dare you do that? How dare you take away someone else's identity? Then they're not going to feel safe with their own identity. I mean, it's really gotten to levels of just insanity. And what's going on right now, is the extreme left is just eating on itself. So in Yale, they send out these letters to all the $60,000 a year students telling them what you can wear, what you can't wear. So in each dorm in Yale, they're called halls. So there's a hall called Silasman Hall, and each dorm has a professor who lives in the dorm, in an apartment in that dorm, and they're sort of supposed to be in charge of helping the students with anything that comes up. So there's a couple who are the professor and his wife, who are what's called the master of the hall, and they're there. And the wife sent out a letter to the people in the college saying, you know what, guys? What are the university guys sending us an email telling us how to dress? You guys are all adults. You know how to dress yourselves. And you know what? If you dress in a way that's not 100% appropriate, so somebody else should go over to you and say to you, that's offensive. Now you would think, I almost thought she was being sycophantic. She's like kissing up to these little boys. Oh, you guys are so smart. You don't need the university to tell you what to do because you're such great adults. That's the way I felt about it. But they got so angry. How dare you allow other people on this campus to appropriate our identities, and you're making this place unsafe. And within 3 hours, they were calling for his resignation. There was protests outside his dorm. So I saw a video, it's very much relevant to what we said right here. I see this video, it's a bunch of students on the common ground, whatever, the diag, the quad, whatever it is in Yale. And the professor, not his wife, not the one who wrote the letter, but the husband, is standing there. And there are these students yelling at him, okay? Such disrespect, such utter disrespect. And they're yelling at him, and like, what you did is a horrible thing. We came here for a safe place, and you're taking away our safe place, and you're being racist, and you need to apologize right now. And he's sitting there, first of all, it's amazing. Couldn't believe it. He's just sitting there, respectful, listening, right? Listening, not saying any word. And finally she's like, and you need to apologize right now. And then she stops. And now he's waited for her to finish. And now he starts to speak. He says, you know what? I think we just have different perspectives on this. And before he can even get another sentence out, she starts yelling. Then why the beep did you take this job? Why the beep did you take this job? And she's yelling and screaming. Wait a second. He listened to you. He was respectful. He listened. He was actively listening to you with respect. He has a word out of his mouth saying he doesn't agree with you. And what do? You start screaming and cursing at him? That's horror. By the way, if you want to know the end of the story, what is the end of the story? It's absurd. Protests mounting outside this family's house and screaming and yelling. And eventually, what happened? I would have, if I was him, and listen, I can't say if I was him because he probably has a pension. He's been working for the university for 20 years. He's maybe close to retirement. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there was a televised conference where you got a bunch of Yale school officials, and he's there, and I'm sorry for hurting people. It's just so horrific. Embarrassment what they did to that man. They treated him like he's like in the laughing stocks. It's like Puritanism, but like the reverse way. It's okay. Anyway, but what we learned from this, with fairness, judge your fellow man, and this is very relevant to us, is that when we're in an argument with someone else, if they listen to what we have to say, you listen to what they have to say. If you're listening to two different friends, or you're adjudicating between your two children. My children, they come to me, they're fighting, they're arguing. And one of them says, oh, but so-and-so did this to me, and he said this, and he said that. And the other one says, no, but I didn't. Yes, you did. what do you mean, what yes you did? No. With fairness, judge your fellow man. Don't let one speak all they want and tell the other to curtail his words. So this is just a very important lesson for our own interpersonal dynamics, is to give everybody that same respect. That when they speak, you listen. Okay. Next, source number 3, another interpretation of the verse, with fairness, judge your fellow man. Also included in the commandment is that each person must adjudicate Torah law when he has the opportunity, and that he should put disputes between litigants to rest. And our rabbi explained that the obligation for one to judge his colleague is a biblical imperative, as it says, with fairness judge your fellow man. Here's actually a very interesting explanation of this verse. It says that if you have the ability, two people are fighting, two of your friends are fighting, and what do you want to say? It's not my business. I'm staying out of it. Right? I'm staying out of it. Not necessarily. If you have the ability to adjudicate it, if you have the ability to get in the middle and really put the litigants, sort of put the argument to rest, help them resolve it, be an arbitrator, an arbiter, then you're supposed to do it with fairness, judge your fellow man. There are times when it's actually called upon us to get involved, if we can. Of course, if you can't, if your two friends are literally biting each other's heads off, and you know that if you put your head in the middle, it's going to get bit off too, then by all means, stay away. But if you have the ability, a lot of times you say, you know what, I don't want to do that. It's none of my business. No, it is your business. If two people are in an argument, two people are fighting, get involved, with fairness, judge your fellow man. Be the person who comes in and brings reason to that situation. Get in the middle and try to bring those two people from war to peace. And now we bring the last interpretation. Source number 4, Talmud Bavli, Tractate Shavuos 30a. Another interpretation on the verse, with fairness, judge your fellow man. One should judge his friend favorably. Again, read source number 4 again. Another interpretation, with fairness, judge your fellow man. One should judge his friend favorably. What is the problem with this source?
He may not have been right.
Okay, he may not be right, so therefore what? You should judge him unfavorably? Okay, so you're saying judge him unfavorably.
Well, depending on the circumstance, you shouldn't be told to judge your friend favorably. Just
Oh, okay,
because
good.
you're a friend.
Oh, so that's a good point. What's your name?
Robert.
Robert. What Robert is saying is, what does that mean, judge your friend favorably? And the other guy you don't, because he's not your friend? So in the Torah, we refer to everybody as friends. Chaverim kol Yisrael v'nomar amen. All Jews are friends. We're all friends, right? Everyone's friends with me over here, right? Thank you. I just got an extra friend for today. I'll tell my wife. My wife always told me I have no friends. I'm like, today I have friends. I have like 25. Thank you. What?
What if that included a non-Jew as part of the dispute?
Okay, so right now we're not getting to the whole nitty-gritty of that, but the issue here is basically, so there's a problem in this source, a very inherent problem.
Is there a difference in meaning between fairness and favorably?
Oh, that's the problem. The Torah says judge everybody fairly. What does fair mean? 50-50. Another interpretation of the words with fairness judge your fellow man is one should judge your friend favorably. Now favorably is 60-40 or 70-30 or 75-25, right? So which one is it? Are you supposed to be fair or are you supposed to be favorable? You can't tell me, you can't say the word fair means favorable. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. It's contradictory. Yes?
Is it perhaps warning you because you know this is your friend and you're trying to be so diligent in judging the situation that it's actually harder on your friend?
Aha, you're saying because he's your friend, but again we say it's not really referring to just friend. That's a good thought. And we'll get something similar to that towards the end. Very good. Okay. Now, that is our first sort of source. The source for judging people favorably comes from the Torah, albeit through a derivation which we have not yet understood properly. Right? But the source is the Torah says judge. With fairness, judge your fellow man, which the Talmud says means judge people favorably. That's sort of our first source, that statement in the Torah, with fairness, judge your fellow man. Next, now we see it go into the Mishnah, which is the first form of the oral Torah written down. Source number 5, Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, 1:6. Rabbi Yoshua ben Parachia Omer, Rabbi Yoshua ben Parachia says, Aseh lecha rav, make for yourself a master, uknei lecha chaver, and acquire for yourself a friend, v'havedan es kol ha'adam lekaf schus, and judge every person favorably. Now, first of all, by the way, what is a Rav? What is a Rav? A rabbi, a master, what does that mean?
Rav can mean great.
Rav can mean great. Rav can mean a lot. Like in Hebrew, you have Yachid and Rabim. Yachid means singular, Rabim means many, plural. Rav means more. Rav means great. Rav means, Rav L'cha means you already have so much. You should have somebody in your life who you believe has more than you. He's Rav than you. He's got more than you. More what? More knowledge, more wisdom. And because he has more knowledge and more wisdom, I will use his advice and follow it, despite the fact that it sometimes may contradict what I think to be wise. Because I recognize that he's Rav. He is greater than me. He's got more knowledge and more wisdom. So even though I think I should resolve this situation like X, if the Rav says to me, no, the real way you should be resolving it is by Y, I'll do Y. Asay l'charav. That's what it means when it says make for yourself a Rav. Make for yourself someone who you believe has more knowledge than you, and therefore you're willing to be subservient to his advice over your own. Ukanei lecha chaver, and acquire for yourself a friend. How do you buy a friend? The word kanei means like acquire, to buy. How do you buy a friend? How do you buy a friend? I used to have a roommate. It's very sad. He was a single child, and his family was very wealthy. And when he was younger, people took advantage of him all the time, and like would sort of have him buy them stuff. Hey, let's go out for dinner. Hey, let's go to the mall. You know. And he became so accustomed to buying friends that when he became my roommate, he would like want to give me stuff. He's like, hey, Leiby, this is like in the 90s or maybe early aughts. He's like, let me get you a Gucci belt. Now, a Gucci belt, you guys know the Gucci belt? It's an expensive piece of hardware there, right? It's probably $300-$400. He's like, yo, let me get you a Gucci belt. I'm like, no. Let me get you this. No, I don't want anything from you. He happens to be, the guy was such a sweet guy. He was such a nice, just a huge heart, huge, sweet guy. But unfortunately, for so many years, he was accustomed that the way he interacted, people always used to interact with him, take advantage of him, was that you bought your friends. So that's what he wanted to do with me. He wanted to buy me. But I'm like, no. I'll just be your friend because you're a great guy. So how do you buy a friend then? By a Gucci belt? I don't think so.
Being one.
By being one. How do you be one?
By reaching out, by...
Okay, so reaching out to them and giving them what? Like, what do you give them? What currency do you give to your friend?
Give them respect and try to find common ground.
Okay, so respect. That's one important tool, right? Truly respecting the other. What's another important tool?
Support.
Support. What's the most valuable thing you can give your friend?
Your time.
Time. Time is the most valuable commodity that we have. It's the one thing that Warren Buffett cannot buy more of. Bill Gates cannot buy more of. He could have billions of dollars in the bank account. He can't buy 5 extra years of life. Time is our most valuable asset. You give somebody else your time. You're there for them.
Yes.
Right, these are things that you give to buy a friend. And then lastly, it says, judge every person favorably. Now that's a pretty bold statement. Every person favorably. Does that include Willie Horton?
Well, you could...
Sure, yeah. Are you supposed to judge Willie Horton favorably? Didn't work out too well for Michael Dukakis.
Even the worst
Oh,
person might
okay.
have
It was a
something.
joke. What?
Even the worst person might have something redeeming. Sometimes
So-
it's hard to find.
Okay, so would you judge Willie Horton favorably? Because he might have something
I didn't
redeeming.
know him, but I would try to, apparently Dukakis thought he was doing the right thing, and sometimes it doesn't work, but I wouldn't ridicule him for trying. Because
Okay.
sometimes people disappoint you.
Right.
They're not what they seem to be, but it's on them, it's not on you. It's, you've given them the benefit of the doubt. You've tried to treat them with dignity and
Okay.
find something redeeming about them.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I would judge Michael Dukakis for giving him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, judge him negatively. I don't believe that you should judge every person favorably. We're going to see we're going to qualify that statement in the Mishnah. When it says judge every person favorably, it does not refer to every person. There are people that you should absolutely not judge favorably because your life could depend on it. Forget your own presidential bids. Someone's knocking at your door. Do you open up the door to your home? Just say, hey, I'll judge this guy favorably, no problem. Whoever it is, come on in. Absolutely not. Do you let anybody take your kids to the park? Absolutely not, right? We don't judge people favorably, and we have to know when we can and when we can't. Okay, let's skip to source number 7 for a second, because it's just short. Source number 7 is Rabbi Yonah of Gerona. Okay? He lived about 800 years ago, 700 years ago. And he said, judge each person favorably. He's quoting the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot and Ethics of Fathers. And he says, this refers to a person not known to be righteous or wicked. So it's not everybody. It's everybody that you don't know. Everybody doesn't have a track record. Again, so I meet somebody. Now, Willie Horton has a track record. Then you don't judge him favorably. So judge every person favorably refers in the Mishnah to somebody you don't know, somebody who does not have a negative track record or a positive track record. But we're going to go into a greater depth of this. We're going to flesh it out with Maimonides, okay? And we're going to come up with a philosophy that I like to call social capital. And it talks about how we all, at all times, all of us, everyone in this room, everyone in the world, at all times is either building social capital or losing social capital. And based on how much social capital we have is how we should expect others to judge us. And based on how much social capital other people have is how we should judge other people. Let's see source number 6. This is from Maimonides on his commentary on Ethics of Our Fathers. Judge every person favorably, says Maimonides, when you come across a person whom you do not know to be righteous or wicked. So he echoes the same thoughts as Rabbi Yonah. Again, he actually lived before Rabbi Yonah. And you see him perform an action or say something that can be interpreted as positive or negative. Assume the positive and do not think negatively of him. And when you do not know the person, and there is no decisive interpretation of the action, it is praiseworthy to judge towards the favorable extreme. So Maimonides qualifies it even further. Rabbi Yonah said, the issue here is, do you know him or not? Maimonides qualifies it further. He says, what kind of action are they doing? Let's say, okay, according to Rabbi Yonah, just based on his explanation, which of course I don't think he was done with that, but this is the basics. I don't know a person, and he comes to me and says, hey man, can I borrow $5,000? You're like, wait, I don't know you to be wicked or great, therefore I should judge you favorably and give you the $5,000? Right, that's not how it works. Right? Maimonides qualifies it further. It's depending on what they're doing too. If they're coming, and if you see somebody hit somebody else, you see somebody, a guy, go over to a woman, he starts pounding her on the back. Now, theoretically, maybe she was hiccuping and, just like needed to get it out. She was choking and he was saving her life. I don't know. But that kind of action, when I see somebody hitting someone else, that's not an action that can swing both ways easily. Can I jump through hoops and find a way to make it right? I can, but not easily. Therefore, Maimonides says that I only judge favorably when, number one, I don't know the person, they don't have a track record, and number two, the action that they're doing can swing both ways. So therefore, if it can swing both ways, I see them, somebody dropped a bunch of papers by the door, and they just walked right out without even bothering to help pick it up. Okay, that can be negative. They're insensitive and callous to somebody else. On the other hand, for all I know, they're super late for something. There's 100 people waiting for them. Who knows what? Their wife is in the hospital in labor. It could be a million things. That's the kind of thing. I don't know the guy, and he does something that can really swing both ways. Give him the favor, the benefit of the doubt. Now, what happens in cases where the thing is being done looks really bad and requires calisthenics to become good? For example, the case I just gave. You see somebody walk over to a woman, he starts pounding her on the back, right? And you're driving by in a bus, so you don't see the end of the story. All you know is you saw the rabbi of your synagogue walk over to a woman as you're driving by, you're on a bus, and your bus stops, and you see the rabbi come out of his car, and he just starts pounding this woman on the back, and the bus pulls away. You're like, wait, what's going on? You're gone. Now, theoretically, could the woman be choking and she needs a good pounding on the back to dislodge something? Yeah. So here's where social capital comes in. If this guy is a very well-respected member of the community, For the last 20 years, he's done nothing but be good, kind, honest, gentle, sweet, mensch, everything. He's built up a lot of positive social capital, which means that he's got, let's say, 300,000 units of positive social capital in his bank account. Now I see him do something that looks terrible. He went over to this woman, starts pounding her on the back, but theoretically, maybe he was dislodging something. I don't know. I mean, her reaction, it wasn't like she was yelling at him. I don't know what's going on. I can't automatically assume this man, who's been nothing but the greatest, has become like a random abuser of women on the street. Now, it takes a lot of capital away for me to give you the benefit of the doubt. So let's say you did it, okay? I'm like, you know what? Probably she was choking, and he was sort of like just helping her get something out. He didn't know the Heimlich. He was doing the back smack, whatever. Like, okay. Now that rabbi just lost, or that guy, whoever it is, just lost like 150,000 units of positive social capital. I gave you the benefit of the doubt, but that cost you a lot. If I see you doing it again, by now you're down to 0. And you do it again and you're done. You're bad, you're evil, you're wicked. You are a random abuser of women on the street. But the first time that I saw him do it, despite the fact that it goes against what I believe in, got to give him that positive benefit of the doubt. You know why? Because he earned it. Because he's built up social capital for 20 years. I see a rabbi, the Orthodox synagogue in town. Everyone knows him, everyone loves him, he's a great guy. See him walk into McDonald's. I'm like, you know what? Hey, just came back from Rabbi Burnham's class, he's probably just going to the bathroom. Then, as I get closer and closer, I see he's online. I'm like, he's probably just getting a Coke. All right, I go to the store next door, I go to the 7-Eleven, I get my Twix bar or whatever it is, I come back out, and I pass by the McDonald's again. And now, he's sitting at the window, and he's eating a cheeseburger. He was not ordering a Coke. He was not going to the bathroom. Oh, that rabbi, he's such a hypocrite. He's such a liar. He's such a this. Wait a second. Maybe he has diabetes, and he's got an attack, and he needs like the perfect blend of, I don't know exactly, who knows what's going on? He's got an ulcer. The Talmud has cases where people are allowed to eat things that are totally, totally not kosher when there's like a life-threatening thing. And they felt this attack, and he needs to eat something real, and I don't know why, a cheeseburger, but who knows what. I'm not going to just assume that he's been lying and being a hypocrite and his entire life. I'm sorry. He's built up too much capital. It would be wrong of me to do that. So that's what positive social capital is. Every time that you're a mensch, every time that you do the right things, every time that you're honest and good, you are putting positive social capital in your bank account. And then when something negative happens, you have to, then if you see someone who's got a lot of positive social capital do something negative, then you got to hold off and judge favorably because they earned it. How about negative social capital? Negative social capital is somebody who's been a crook again and again and again. Right? Let's say, for example, a previous mayor of Detroit. For example, who was convicted multiple times of doing wrongdoing, right? Everything. Larceny and fraud and all kinds of things. And now I see him, he comes back to the community, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm a changed man. And now I'm driving down the street, it's late at night, and I see a big, SUV right in front of me. It stops, and out gets that guy. And he goes over to a poor man on the street, and they have little words, and he takes out an envelope filled with cash, and he gives it to him. Oh, wow. He probably changed his ways, right? He probably became righteous, and he's just giving out lots of funds to poor people on the street. I don't know, right? No, I don't think so. You know why? Because you have negative 300,000 units of social capital. And you do something that even looks like it's good. For most people to walk over to a poor person on the street and give them a wad of cash, people would say, wow, this guy's amazing. This guy's so nice. He's compassionate. He's caring. But when you have negative 300,000 units of social capital, it is correct of us and proper of us to judge that disfavorably. and say, it's probably some kind of drug deal, he's paying off, this guy's a messenger for somebody, I don't even know what dirty money, who knows what's going on, that was not kosher. They have not earned our judging them favorably yet. Now you say, well, how does a person turn around their life? Let's say he really did change. Let's say he really did change. You have a guy who's serially unfaithful. And then finally one day he says, you know what, okay, I'm faithful now. Okay, I know I was wrong, I'm sorry. Now I'm a changed man. I'm not doing any of that stuff anymore. And then you see text messages or who knows what, you're like, what's going on over there? Oh, come on, give me the benefit of the doubt. No, you didn't earn it. But I told you that I changed. Sorry, telling you is not good enough. You know how you earn the benefit of the doubt? You have negative 300,000 units. Be honest, be a mensch for 20 years or for 10 years, and you slowly can build back up positive social capital. Every time you're honest and a mensch and right, we'll give you 5,000 units here, 5,000 units there. Eventually, you'll be able to earn our trust again. But you don't deserve it right now, and you're not going to get it. Negative social capital. So let's look at now source number 8. Maimonides. But if a person is publicly known to be righteous and is known for good deeds, and he does something that appears in all respects to be a negative action that can only be interpreted as positive with great difficulty by making an unlikely assumption, right? After jump through the hoop, maybe the woman was choking, or maybe he had an ulcer and he needed to just stop into McDonald's and eat something quickly. It is appropriate to assume that the act was a positive one. Since such an interpretation is technically possible, it is forbidden to suspect him. It's not fair. For 25 years, he earned your positive social capital, and you're going to see one thing and throw him out under the bus? And the Talmud says, one who suspects a righteous person will be punished. It's not fair what you're doing. Similarly, when a person is wicked, and his wicked deeds are known publicly, and we observe him doing something that appears in all respects to be good, a positive action, and which can only be interpreted as a negative action with great difficulty by making an unlikely assumption. He's not giving a poor person on the street money. It's a payoff. It's supposed to go to somebody. It's a handoff. It's a this. It's a that. It's dirty money. It's a drug deal. Who knows what? It is appropriate to be wary of him and not to believe the action is positive, since there is a possibility that it is negative. Okay, so here's the thing. If you have positive social capital, we should judge you favorably. If you have negative social capital, we should judge you negatively. If you only have a little bit of positive social capital, 5,000 units, and we see you do something that really, really appears terrible, let's say, for example, there's a guy, 5,000 units, he just moved to town, I barely know him, but he seems like a nice guy, seems like a mensch, seems to be an honest guy, and I see him pounding on some woman's back, randomly on the street. I don't have to give him the benefit of the doubt to assume that it was a woman who's choking. He didn't earn that much yet, he's got 5,000 units, what he's doing is a negative 150. That brings him down to negative territory, to negative 145, right? You guys with me? So it depends on the severity of the action. And depends on the frequency of the action. Like people, the story of the coach from, what was that university? Penn State. Well, so Penn State. Now, he may have been the most upstanding, church-going citizen and doing everything right. So maybe the first time there was some sort of allegation, people say, you know what? People make allegations. It's not fair. There are times when people make allegations that are false. And a person's life can get ruined in 1 second. So the first time we reserve judgment, we look into it. We don't know what happened. Okay, fine. Again? No. Now this coach had multiple allegations. There was absolutely no reason to be judging him favorably. It was forbidden to judge him favorably. We can't judge people favorably when they have negative social capital. It doesn't work for society. So where does judging people favorably work? Here's where it works. I don't know you from a hole in the wall, and I see you do something that maybe negative 5,000. But it could swing both ways. I see you walk by the door after someone dropped a bunch of papers, and you just walk by. That's kind of negative, right? Because you should help them out. But I don't know what's going on in your life.
That's right.
So that's where the commandment is, throw the person a bone. Give them 5,000 units of positive social capital, even though you don't know them. Why? Why is it judge your friend fair with fairness? Does that mean favorable? I'll explain to you why. Because many of us human beings are cynical people. We're at a party, and somebody walks in, and they're really good looking, and they look confident, and I'm not maybe feeling good about myself that night, and what do I say? Oh, I hate that guy. You don't know that guy. Oh, he's probably so arrogant. What are you talking? You don't know him. You don't know him, but you already are assuming. You know why? Because we're hurting inside. And when we're hurting inside, we're very, very apt to easily throw some of our pain at somebody that we don't really know at all. Unfortunately, we generally tend to judge on the unfavorable side. We ask in the beginning of the class, why judge at all? Just don't judge people. You know what the answer is? Because we do. We judge people all the time. We're making snap decisions about people. Speak to all these business experts. The first impressions, so important. First impressions, so important. Because we just do. It'd be unrealistic for the Torah to say, don't judge people. That is what we do automatically, consciously, subconsciously. Someone walks into the room, I am already sizing them up and deciding. Sometimes we like to play a game. We just sit and we watch people go by and tell their life story. It's absurd. We make it up, right? This person, that couple, they're this, and this couple is that, and who knows? We do it in real, though. We do it in real life. So the Torah says if you don't know somebody at all, you're probably automatically, with your cynical internal mechanism, knocking them down already, negative 5,000. So therefore, give him the benefit of the doubt, judge him favorably just to bring it back to normalcy, because you are so apt to be judging him disfavorably already. So therefore, when the Torah says, with fairness judge your fellow man, the Mishnah, the Talmud, interprets that as be favorable. Because in order to be fair, we often have to be favorable because we already have a negative filter as things come into our eyes. Now, by the way, the greater the person is, the more that's not there. The greater the person is, the more comfortable they are with themselves, the less of the automatic sort of negative screen that works with them. When I feel great about myself, some guy comes into the party, looks great. All right, great. Yeah, good for him. I'm happy, you're happy. Shalom Yisrael.